sir, come in on this, because the point that the survey made about a disinvestment approach, which says that the government will perhaps hold up to only 26% and therefore a second round of further divestitures. Now, there have been questions around individual companies. Let's not talk about that. But taking that point forward, how much of a scope do you think, you saw that macro chart in terms of percentage trend line shifting downwards as far as defense expenditure is concerned, but from your point of view, how much of scope is there for a post Operation Sindoor moment to be captured as far as defense allocations are concerned?
See, the defense allocations, for them to translate into actual acquisitions and purchases takes time. So I expect that the announcement would be a kind of medium-term perspective, just like with the NATO guys, they are saying we will reach 3% of GDP and 5% of GDP. India will probably present, Nirmala Sitharaman's budget should sort of probably give you a roadmap for the next 5 years on how they will increase or ramp up the spending in defense. Remember, you may not have a headroom this year, but you can always promise that there will be headroom in the next year and the year after that. And that should be the approach anyway for defense acquisitions, because the process is very long drawn.
Right.
And as far as the story, you mentioned the PSU disinvestment story. I think whoever came up with this idea of 26% sort of never looked back at it, at the government's own record. Since 2004, the 30 companies have been listed through various IPOs. These 30 companies are valued at around 19 lakh crores. Out of these 30 companies, 29 companies, government owns more than 89%. So let's get to 51 first, then we can be ambitious about 26. Yeah, let's sell some stuff first, you know.
Fair point. There is so much scope.
This is a dead duck, actually.
Abha, you wanted to take it forward with our market guests. Viewers, we'll stay on the markets for another few minutes and then go back to broader policy making. Abha.
Absolutely. I think, just before I do that, Siddharth, I know he asked everyone else, but I want to ask Rajdeep how many years he's been actually observing the budget. Yes.
I can tell you a little story. In 1994, I was at NDTV when we were commissioned to do the post-budget reactions. So I recall standing, and this was Manmohan Singh's probably third or fourth budget in 1994. I recall standing in front of the BSE in Mumbai on Dalal Street, and the connection kept going off because the technology wasn't good enough. So we were doing it for Doordarshan, cracking large OB van, I think had been placed just outside BSE.
I remember those. Yeah.
So that's my first memory. And it is a day since then that I dread, because as an economics graduate, it forces me to almost go back and start reading about things that I thought I had forgotten over the last 30, 35 years. Yeah, but it's been a long time. And I think that was, Manmohan Singh brought, that entire early 90s brought excitement to the budget. You can, whichever way you look at it, after 1991, a certain excitement came in, and it's never really gone. With the Chidambaram budgets in a United Front government, then you had Yashwant Sinha, Jaswant Singh. Every budget had something that became a major talking point. And I think that's been the big change that's taken place. Rajiv is probably the youngest here out of us all in terms of tracking budget. But as an investor, I can very quickly ask you, is there that excitement that exists today about a union budget? Or is there a sense, as Siddharth pointed out, they just want the markets just want finance minister not to do anything that will harm the budget. Or harm the idea of the economy. No retrospective tax kind of bombshell suddenly being brought in. That's all that people really want.
Yeah. No, I think once you achieve the major tax reforms, the budget becomes a more mundane procedure and process, as it should. Obviously, the earlier era had number of major policy changes that required to be implemented, and the budget became a platform to announce those.
And also, so much more happens outside the budget, and you've got the geopolitical risks that are taking place. I know friends of mine who are more interested to know what Donald Trump's going to do with Iran, which they fear is going to have far greater impact than what happens at home. He's made an announcement today that India has agreed to buy oil from Venezuela and not Iran. Now, he does these statements.
But Rajdeep, that's fair enough. 2 days back, Prime Minister spoke to Delcy Rodriguez, Venezuelan stopgap president or Maduro's stand-in president. So she.
Yeah, but why should Donald Trump, my only problem is why should Donald Trump be making that announcement? We are a sovereign nation. We will tell
there is really no announcement. We've always been buying Venezuelan crude. It was the US and allies who sanctioned Venezuelan crude. We couldn't buy it and we had to switch.
No,
now, if it's available on the market
but
without sanctions, it's
my
fine.
point is why should Donald Trump be making whatever decisions are taking us?